The sun did not set over Oakhaven Estates that Tuesday. It surrendered. As the bruised purple of twilight bled into an unnatural, oily black, the residents of the cul-de-sac noticed the silence first. It wasn't the peaceful quiet of a suburban evening, but a heavy, suffocating vacuum, the kind of silence that precedes a landslide. Then came the sound. It began as a low-frequency vibration, a rhythmic thrum that rattled the fine china in Mrs. Gable's cabinet and sent the neighborhood dogs into a whimpering retreat. It wasn't thunder. It was the sound of 100,000 webbed feet hitting the pavement in perfect, terrifying unison. From the mist-shrouded woods emerged the vanguard, a line of mallards, their iridescent green heads shimmering like poisoned emeralds under the flickering street lamps. They didn't waddle, they marched. By 8:02 p.m., the Serenity Fountain at the heart of the square, lackluster stone cherub, pissing a recirculated stream of chlorinated water, had become ground zero for a biological occupation. 50,000 ducks, a sea of feathers and cold, unblinking orange eyes. They didn't quack, they watched. Every window in the neighborhood was a frame for a horror movie no one had bought a ticket for. Local teenager Leo Vance recorded the scene from his bedroom, his breath hitching as he realized the birds weren't eating the decorative mulch or preening their wings. They were arranged in concentric circles around the fountain, a feathered mandala of avian intent. The air grew cold, smelling of wet pondweed and impending doom. When the lead drake, a scarred veteran with a missing toe, hopped onto the cherub's head, the collective silence broke into a single, synchronized honka sound so dissonant and guttural it felt like a glitch in reality. The Great Quackening had begun, and Oakhaven was no longer at the top of the food chain. The 911 dispatch records from that night are a symphony of suburban collapse. Panicked whispers of "they re just standing there," and "the VE cut the fiber optic cables" flooded the lines. But no sirens came. The police cruisers were immobilized blocks away, their tires finding no purchase on a literal carpet of waterfowl that refused to budge, even for the law. At the center of the storm, the fountain began to change. The water, once clear, turned a murky, bioluminescent green, bubbling with a rhythmic froth that defied the laws of plumbing. The mallards weren't just occupying the space, they were terraforming it. A dark satirical irony hung over the scene. Humanity had spent decades feeding them stale crusts of sourdough. And now, it seemed, the ducks had arrived to collect the debt with interest. They stared into the doorbell cameras with a chilling, predatory intelligence, their heads tilting in eerie synchronization every time a motion sensor light flickered on. As midnight approached, the tension reached a snapping point. The lead drake let out a low, vibrating hiss that resonated through the plumbing of every house on the block. Suddenly, the Serenity Fountain erupted not with water, but with a geyser of feathers and ancient prehistoric mud. The mallards took flight simultaneously, a feathered cyclone that blotted out the moon and created a localized windstorm that shattered the Gables greenhouse. For 3 minutes, the sky was a chaotic vortex of beating wings and shadows, a ducknado of Hitchcockian proportions. And then, as quickly as the madness had descended, the sky cleared. When the residents finally dared to peer over their windowsills, the square was empty. The 50,000 mallards were gone. The fountain was dry, cracked down the middle as if struck by lightning. The only evidence of the invasion was a single, pristine mallard feather resting on the community mailbox, and a lingering, unsettling feeling that this wasn't a migration, it was a rehearsal. Oakhaven survived the night, but the breadcrumbs in the pantry suddenly felt like a very dangerous thing to keep in the house. If you felt the chill of those 50,000 unblinking eyes and lived to tell the tale, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to join our flock of the curious and the brave. The Great Quackening may have passed, but the shadows in the suburbs are always watching, so leave a comment below, letting us know the strangest thing you've ever seen lurking in your own backyard. Dan T. Forget to turn on those post notifications so you never miss a descent into the unknown, because in this neighborhood, the next mystery is always just a heartbeat away.